Jay Hibb, Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is it. This is the big one. The Manchester City Premier League preview, sponsored by Betmate. We'll get to that a little bit later on. That's the fantasy football app. Joe, it's the Manchester derby. Yeah?
It's too big.
It's too big.
It means too much this time.
It's one of the biggest games in the calendar. Not quite the biggest. I still think that's the Scousers. But it's up there. And it's even more intriguing this season because we're quite close in the league.
This is what I mean. This to me gives it extra.
Yeah.
To play Liverpool, or the 6th or 7th in the league, it's still obviously massive because it's Liverpool. But it's not. This is to catch up with a team that is undoubtedly in a title race.
Yeah.
If you go 1 point behind a team that's in a title race, what does that mean?
It means you're, involved.
Yeah, exactly. And that terrifies me. So this game it's almost too big for me to enjoy my life. But we'll try anyway. We've got a few talking points. Let's get into it.
We'll get into it. We've got a lot of talking points. There's several Manchester United players that are doing really well. The most obvious one we'll get straight into is Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been on. Oh no, it's not. Oh yeah, it is. It is Marcus Rashford. Sorry, forgive me. He's been on fire, scoring 7 in 7 or something in his last 7 games. Just looks like, I dare say, he looks the best he's ever looked to me. I know, obviously, when he first burst onto the scene, he was scoring loads of goals, and he had those periods under Ollie where he was bagging loads of goals. But it's not just the fact he's scoring goals; it's the type of goals he's scoring. He's scoring headers, he's getting in behind, he's running at defenders, he's scoring tap-ins. He just seems to be scoring all types of different goals, and he's in that sort of vein of form as well, where every time he gets the ball, you feel like something's going to happen.
Yeah, he's been absolutely amazing recently. And like you said, I think it's the best form he's ever been in because I think statistically it's the best form he's ever been in. First of all, just number of goals in per game in the last sort of few months. But also just, as I said before, sometimes with Marcus Rashford, and one of the great things about him, I think, that is, even when he's not on form, he'll still chip in with a goal. He'll still get you an assist.
He's very good at that.
He's very productive, even when he's not having a great sort of 90 minutes. He'll have a great 2 minutes, and he'll win you the game. The thing with him at the minute is he's having great 90 minutes or 60. He can't play fantastically for every minute of every game, but he's playing better for more minutes of more games at the moment. I think he's more involved. I think he's seen as the outlet going forward. I think for the first time in his career at United, and I'm just trying to think of another time, but I can't, he's the main man. Ronaldo's gone. There's no Zlatan. There's no Lukaku. There's no Di Maria. There's no Sanchez. There's no big name in the way of him being the best player he can be. And we're seeing it at the moment, I think, this season already, if you include the World Cup, which, why wouldn't you? I know, obviously, as United fans, I don't really care, but that's still goals and stuff that he's got this season. I think it's 18 goals and 6 assists from left wing or the odd game up front for United. But that's fantastic. We're halfway through the season and he's got 18 goals. If you extrapolate that out, obviously it doesn't take a genius to work out that this whole sort of 20-goal a season target that we all talk about for Rashford and that's been mentioned in the past is all of a sudden a 30-goal a season target.
Yeah.
Because if let's double it, it's 36 goals. So if you could get anywhere near 30 goals, now you're looking at not just like, he's back to form. You're looking at one of the best wingers in the world at the moment. And I think people forget, you see sort of what Salah did 4 or 5 years ago for Liverpool when he got 44 goals in a season. You see certain other players, Messi playing off the right side. But most wingers don't do what Marcus Rashford does. No. Most wingers in world football are not getting you, what is almost certainly injury sort of permitting, a 20-goal season minimum this year. They don't do it. So you've immediately got to put him back in that sort of most dangerous wingers in the world category. And I think it's absolutely fantastic for United. And he's someone that we like off the pitch, we like him on the pitch. And he's just an absolute terror to play against at the minute. And it's phenomenal to see.
It is phenomenal to see. You're right. And listen, so if you wanted to be sort of negative, you could say, okay, a lot of these games recently, you'd expect Manchester United to win. You'd expect Marcus Rashford to score goals. But no one expects you to score every single game, which is what he's currently doing. Yeah. So even though you might look at some of the opposition and go, it's not been the greatest. And also, historically, Marcus Rashford does have a very good record against the bigger teams. He's scored against all the bigger teams. He scored against Chelsea, he scored against Liverpool, he scored against City.
He scored against PSG. The winners against Arsenal this season in the only game they've lost. Yeah. So you can't,
So it's not like he's only doing it against the weaker teams. He's doing it against everyone, and long may it continue. Another player who's absolutely smashing it this season, and a player who To be honest with you, when me and you were doing the Paddock Live, when we were linked with him, I was like, we're not going to get him. At the time, we'd just been knocked back from Adrian Rabiot, so I thought this is just nonsense, the idea that we're going to go from not getting Adrian Rabiot to getting one of the best midfielders ever in Casemiro. But we did, and he's been absolutely mint.
Yeah, he's one of those players that he reminds me of. Do you know that era in the mid to late 90s in Italy, where it just felt like they just had, well, they had all the best players in the world, or most of the best players in the world played in Italy, and that showed itself with the European Cups that were won over there at that time and the dominance that they had across Europe. He reminds me of one of those players. He's got this sort of stature and dominance that sort of harks back to a time when individual talent was the main thing that won teams games. Now you can have a team that, you know, is greater than the sum of its parts, playing consistently well for years on end. But Casemiro's got this sort of old-fashioned, I'm just going to tackle you, and then I'm going to ping, not a 10-yard pass, not a, you know, we thought we wanted a lot of people wanted someone like a Bissouma who can get a tackle and just about make a 10-yard pass. This guy gets a tackle and does a fucking 70-yard pass.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like the one against Garnacho the other day, I'm sure you've all seen it. If you haven't, gets the ball on the edge of our 18-yard box on the right-hand side and pings literally a 70-yard ball across the pitch right into Garnacho's chest, over the defenders, over the entire midfield. Like, he's the sort of player that I'd almost forgotten existed. Because you remember Michael Carrick at United, and he had some of the qualities that Casemiro's got, some of the passing, and I think he was probably a slightly better passer than Casemiro, but he didn't have the physicality or the tackling that Casemiro's got. And I love Michael Carrick. But there's a reason why this man's won 5 Champions Leagues, and it's because he's phenomenal week in, week out. You can't win multiple La Ligas, multiple Champions Leagues by doing it 1 in 6 or 1 in 3 or 1 in 2 like someone like Paul Pogba used to do. You have to do it every single week, and he does, and it's utterly fantastic.
It is, you're right, it is utterly fantastic. I think, you know, in sort of in the Premier League, in 14 appearances, 10 starts, he's created 12 chances. Now, you wouldn't associate him, like you were saying, with being a sort of a creator. He's more of someone who gets hold of the ball and lets the other people do that around him. But not only is he putting in the tackles, and I think he's got the highest rated tackles in Manchester United squad, he's also creating chances as well. And he's even got a couple of goals, which is something you don't
especially that late equaliser against Chelsea, which was absolutely crucial to maintaining the momentum we're on now. And then obviously the goal he got, the first goal was against Forest. No, it was at Old Trafford, wasn't it? Maybe Everton.
I think it was Bournemouth, wasn't it?
Bournemouth, that was the one. Yeah, excuse me. But again, a lovely finish, near post, side foot, roof of the net from a free kick. He's just doing I can't believe bits. How good he is.
And with all that being said, give us your predicted 11. This is the team you think Erik ten Hag will pick for the visit of our noisy neighbours.
I think this is the closest thing we've got to a sort of full-strength team at the minute. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, because it looks as though Varane's going to be out. Sorry, not Varane. Dalot's going to be out.
Yeah,
he went down the other day against Charlton, and he came off after 30 minutes, I think it was, wasn't it? So
it's some fun. Dalot, we were down in Carrington not long ago. We met him. He's a good lad, playing really well. And I think was it the Bournemouth game where he came on as a sub, and you just got a reminder of what he's about. Because Wan-Bissaka's been playing really well, but Dalot does give you that some extra, so it is a bit of a shame. But it makes sense that with him unavailable, you've just gone for the obvious choice of Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
And I think the rest of it is obvious choices as well. Varane and Martinez. The only question with Martinez is he quite back from the World Cup yet, mentally and physically? If that's not the case, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Luke Shaw there with Malacia on the left. I think he'd rather play Shaw than Maguire, especially against City. Maybe bring Maguire on late in the game if we're defending a lead and we want to sit back a little bit. But otherwise, I think it'll be this. That midfield 3 picks itself when everyone's fit. Fernandes got a full rest the other night against Charlton, and Eriksen and Casemiro only played 30 minutes each, so they both should be sharp and ready to go. Rashford obviously starts. He's our best player at the moment, or up there with Casemiro. Martial just clings on to that number 9 spot. He's not been great since the World Cup. He's been quite poor, actually. But, you know, unless Weghorst is immediately available and brilliant, I don't think he'll start him in the day after signing. And then Anthony on the right, same thing. I don't think he's been excellent, but Elanga was completely anonymous and has been for a few months now. And Jadon Sancho literally isn't even getting in the squad at the minute, so I think it has to be Anthony. And I'd be surprised if there's too many changes to your team there, because unless you've gone absolutely rogue like Pep Guardiola's promising to do, I think that is United's pretty much best 11, isn't it?
The only thing, if you go to my team, the only difference I've got with mine is I don't know if you can get away with having a midfield of Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. I just worry a little bit. I thought Eriksen got badly exposed at the Etihad. And I like Christian Eriksen. I think he's a fantastic footballer. And he's been a breath of fresh air since he's come in. But I think if you've got a player up against the likes of De Bruyne and maybe Bernardo Silva and Rodri, I think you need a bit more sort of... I don't know if graft's the right word because he does graft Eriksen. Someone who's a bit more capable of sticking a foot in. Yeah. I've just got that memory of Kevin De Bruyne going through the midfield at the Etihad and Christian Eriksen. Well, the obvious thing to do is just, even if you have to foul him, just take him out and you just let him go past him, and then it led to a goal. And I just feel like with McTominay, he's got a decent-ish record in the derby. I know the one last season wasn't great for anyone, but I just feel you might need a little bit more muscle in there. And listen, I'm not saying that Scott McTominay is a better midfielder than Christian Eriksen because he ain't. Yeah. I just think for this kind of role, you might just need someone almost to be a double pivot alongside Casemiro.
I don't disagree with that. The only thing I would say is I think in the last game it was Eriksen and McTominay, which I think neither of them are positionally disciplined or have the defensive instincts that Casemiro does. If Casemiro wasn't there, I might not play Eriksen either. I might go Fred and McTominay, despite how that feels to say. I think I might do that. But I think Casemiro and Eriksen probably just as enough. But I won't be surprised to see that either.
Yeah, like I say, it's the predicted 11. And I just wonder whether Ten Hag has that in the Etihad about him and thinks I might just need two. I know McTominay's not really a DM, but two holding tight midfielders. Yeah. And let's face facts, you're alongside Casemiro and you do as you're told. If he's telling you what to do and you listen to him, you probably get away with anyone playing now alongside him. So we'll see what happens anyway. But yeah, everything you've said I agree with. Shame for Dalot and the front three. I don't see Garnacho starting this game. I think he'd be a good option from the bench. Of course, we don't know if he's going to be available. I'll get to the Betmate stuff in a minute, but if he is available, you can get him on the Betmate app, but we'll move on to that in a minute. In terms of the opposition, we've got Boovie has been chatting to Adam McCullough. You probably know Boovie from the Kickoff and from his own channel as well, and he does the Last Man Standing stuff as well with Adam McCullough. He's been chatting to him about this preview, and here's what them two had to say.
Yes, people, as it's a big game this week, we have Boovie on for the opposition section. Obviously, Manchester United, Man City this weekend. City absolutely slapped us last time, 6-3 at the Etihad, but we're coming into this in a little bit more form. Boovie, one question. Are you scared?
I can't be scared. I think you have been an embarrassment for the last 6 years. I can't. What can I say? You won one League Cup in 6 years, spent nearly £1 billion. But I'm going to be balanced. I'm balanced, mate. I hope you think that of me. You are improving. You are improving. Rashford, Garnacho. It's exciting. It's definitely exciting. I'm not sure about Weghorst. 1 in 10 record in the Premier League. It's embarrassing if you look at that transfer. But, these guys are coming through. I think Casemiro is an unbelievable signing. I'm not going to sit here and say, he's he's an unbelievable signing. And you've got a manager that's actually, he feels as big as the club in some way. I feel the way he's handled Maguire, the way he's got rid of Ronaldo, his press conferences, they have a maturity that even Mourinho didn't have. I have to sit here, as much as I hate saying it, United are on some sort of trajectory, being in the top 4 as we speak in the Premier League, game in hand on Spurs. It's not bad. It's not bad, but you should be a lot further ahead in the process.
You think? I've been pleasantly surprised with how far we've come. Now, obviously, we could have a few setbacks, and I expect that to happen. There'll be a few bumps in the road, but I feel like we're further ahead in the progress. Like we've made Old Trafford a little bit more of a fortress. We're defending a lot better, keeping clean sheets. I felt like it'd take us longer to get to where we are at the minute, but it's happened a bit quicker than I thought. But again, it's still so early to see. We're not really in January in the league sense, are we? We're still in December. You know what I mean? We haven't got to that point yet. What's going on with City at the moment? Obviously, as we speak, you've not played against Southampton yet. But in terms of the league, you've recently hit some form again. You beat Chelsea. You beat Chelsea in the Cup. You got any injuries, any worries ahead of this game?
No, it looks pretty good. The big one at centre-back, Laporte, I think he'll be back to full fitness. Diaz is probably the only one out. But I think going into those Chelsea games, cup of banana skins, because obviously Chelsea, they've got the quality in the squad. Obviously, they're shocking at the moment. But to put 5 past them across 2 games and get through cup competitions, I don't think we're even out of first gear. I think actually there's this weird thing when Haaland's not playing, we actually do look a little bit more mobile, a little bit quicker with the ball. I think once we figure out what the system is with Haaland around him, how do we win the ball back when he loses the ball, for example, when he takes a shot and it gets countered at the other end. That's the big thing for City and how we stop size transition against us. I think Everton, probably the worst performance since the World Cup.
That was a mad one, that I found, like,
Crazy.
especially where Everton are.
But we've had it for years because City have always dominated the ball. We can have 80% possession, and
What do you make of the chat that, despite the fact how good Haaland is, you're maybe not as functionable as a team? Do you believe that? Or?
It's literally true. He's individually had an unbelievable season. He's already one of the most naturally gifted strikers I've ever seen in the Premier League for a period of time. I know it's crazy saying that, but what he can do in terms of his finishing,
It's a joke.
It's scary. But you know, you're not going to take that Ferrari out of the garage. Do you know what I mean? For the sake of it, you have to find a way of building around that and protecting it and making sure that, you know, in 2-3 years' time, hopefully 4, 5, 6 years' time, if we're lucky enough, that the system around him, how we win the ball back, I think the big thing is that these players are so gassed about how well he's doing individually that they want to get the ball and bang, switch straight into his feet. And we're actually sometimes long ball under Guardiola. It's crazy. I don't think we've ever seen a Guardiola side for City be so poor on the ball, lose the ball so easily because we're trying to keep feeding him, hoping that he'll score these crazy goals. If we can figure out how we get him the ball, the chances that we create, I want to see our fullbacks bombing on. None of this Nathan Ake, Kanji at right back and left back sort of stuff. Get Cancelo, Kyle Walker in this side. It's already started to happen. Kyle Walker, a couple of good performances recently. And if we can overlap and stretch you guys at Old Trafford, Haaland could easily score a hat-trick. It's crazy saying that.
It's not. I don't think it's even crazy with him anymore. One more question before we get your team. You know how, like, everyone at the moment, like, kind of assumes City will just win the league. Arsenal. Is there any pressure? Like, are you looking at the next run of fixtures going, Arsenal could pull away here or anything like that?
No, look, if the pressure was on, it was on when we were 2-1 down or 2-0 down against Aston Villa, against one of the great Liverpool sides ever. They were a couple of games away from winning a quadruple. I know it ended up being just a League Cup and an FA Cup. It doesn't look as good as it was at the time, but they were unbelievable. And if the pressure then was really too high and we bottled it, we would have bottled it then. I look at this Arsenal side. I think we beat them home and away, got them in the FA Cup. I think we beat them then. Honestly, I know it sounds cocky. We could lose them as well. Of course, anything can happen. But I'm so confident we beat them in the next 3 games that we play them. I really do. I think we're a better side than them. We've got more world-class players. I think if you can count on Rodri to keep the ball under tight situations, Laporte as a centre-back is better than anything that Arsenal have got. We've got a better keeper. And then we've got Julian Alvarez and Haaland up front when they've got Eddie Nketiah. I know he's had a good run of form recently, but the golfing quality to win a Premier League, as you know, as a United fan, you know, when you had Berbatov, Tevez, Rooney, you had 3 or 4 different options all the time. And Arsenal don't have that. So it's a squad game ultimately.
I hear you. What's this City 11 going to be?
Ederson in goal, easy. Walker at right back. He shouldn't be playing at Southampton. Obviously, we're recording it before the game. Stones at centre back. He's been unbelievable. It's hard to express how good he's been, especially at Stamford Bridge. We've kept 2 clean sheets now against Chelsea in the last couple of games. Unbelievable at centre back. Honestly, he's gone right under the radar. It's tough to know in terms of fitness. A Kanji or Laporte. For me, it'd be Laporte all day long, and you play a Kanji in the League Cup. Cancelo at left back. Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne. That midfield, if we can get it right.
No Bernardo, or is he out wide?
I've not been a massive, maybe it's a bit harsh, but I've not been a massive fan of Bernardo in terms of his criticism of the club recently. Not massive criticism, but in terms of maybe him talking about where he'd be in at the age of 31, 32, talking about kind of moving potentially. I don't like those conversations. They're not really aligned to how City have handled things in the last few years. And usually when it does happen like that, they get moved on real quick. So I do think Gundogan, is also a very good player for this United game because, you're going to want to get on the ball. I don't think you're massively good off the ball. You're not Liverpool in terms of the press.
We're a bit better though.
You are better than you used to be. But I think Gundogan with passing can break your press, and if Bernardo needs to come on, he can come on. No, I think Mahrez starts this game. I think he's in a real good bit of form. Obviously, he didn't play in the World Cup, so he actually is an underrated player that didn't get any minutes for a good 4 or 5 weeks, so he could just be fresh for the next 3-4 months going into the Premier League title race. Haaland down the middle, obviously. And then it's the tricky one there. There are arguments that I've seen from City fans. Does Alvarez play to stretch your back line?
So the options: Grealish, Foden, Alvarez.
Yeah, Foden's. I don't understand Foden at the moment. I don't think he's been playing the right position. And Alvarez, I like what I see when he plays. Obviously, you want to see Foden starting games, but Grealish for me, I don't think he starts against United. I think I want someone to stretch the back line, and maybe Alvarez. I know it's a bit of a wild card shout, but I don't see United as massive. I know I shouldn't say this, but I don't see it as a massive threat. I think we should do the business professionally against you lot. And Foden has played a few games recently. Maybe Alvarez is an option to kind of see if he can link up with Haaland potentially, but not for me. Jack Grealish, he doesn't provide enough.
You know what? I'm glad to hear you don't think we're not going to be much of a threat, because I'm weirdly confident, that we're going to use that out. I'm weirdly confident. Score prediction, move.
3-0.
To United, yeah. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Manchester United. I've really got a good feeling about this weekend. Boovie, where can the people find a video that we made earlier and all your other stuff?
Just on my channel, BUVEY. And it's a good video. It's not Man City centric. It's a balanced combined 11, Manchester Derby combined 11. It's good fun, isn't it? It's balanced. Yeah,
go check it out. Subscribe to his channel as well, and we'll be back. Well, back over to the lads. See you in a bit.
One thing there, he said quite a lot there, and I like the fact that Macca go back and forth. But one thing Boovie was saying there, he was always like, I don't know, he's confident or arrogant, saying like he doesn't see much of a threat from Manchester United. And you think, looking at the form we're in, and okay, yeah, it has been relatively easy games, but especially when you look at the likes of Casemiro and Marcus Rashford especially, it's a little bit surprising that he's so confident. I mean, he might just be a bit of, bravado on camera, but he did seem quite dismissive, didn't he, of United at points there? Yeah,
a little bit, which is surprising really, just because we've beat them a fair few times in the last 5 years. It's not like since Pep's come in, we've not been able to beat him.
And also, this is a team that, he's like you say, if we win, we're a point behind him.
Yeah.
We're not miles away from him
no.
in terms of results and quality. This isn't like they're playing a United team that's struggling in mid-table. Yeah. We're doing really well. In terms of opposition as well, we'll talk a little bit about Betmate. Go on, you can talk us through this bit.
Yeah, so Betmate is a fantasy football app where you pick your best 7 players. You have to pick 1 opposition player minimum.
So you can have 6 from one team.
Yeah, which I always pick 6 United players, obviously. And they get points based on how they do in the game, and that you're not betting against the app, you're betting against your peers. So if I pick a better team than you, Jay, I win money and you don't. It's that simple.
You have won money as well, haven't you? Yeah. You've won 200 quid playing this, which I'm sick of.
I won the grand prize in the game against Tottenham, which is arguably United's most dominant performance of the last few years, and I predicted that better than anyone else. So if you want to have a chance to doing that, make sure you check out Betmate. If you use the code Paddock20, you get £20 in free bets if you enter any paid pot.
That's decent, that. And also, like I said earlier, Veghorst, if he is available, you can put him in your team. You can also change your team.
Yes.
I think right up till kickoff. I think you can get away with it up to about 5 minutes before kickoff. You can change your team. So when the team's announced, if you've got players that aren't in the squad or whatever, you can make that change. And that's something I remember being outside Old Trafford, rapidly changing my team.
Disgusting.
Just trying to get a signal, which everyone who's been at Old Trafford knows how difficult that could be. Let's have a look at the Betmate teams, and let's look at yours first. It is your team. Like you say, you can have 6 from one team, so you've gone with 6 United players.
Yep.
The standout for me there is the fact that you've got Bruno Fernandes as your captain, and you obviously get extra points for that, and Casemiro as your vice-captain.
Yeah.
So you're pretty confident that our midfield's going to be dominant.
I feel like this might be the game where Rashford doesn't score. I think there's so much pressure on him. There's so much expectation. City will be worried about him that they might sort of drop off a little bit when he's on the ball, or he might be sort of marking him so heavily that someone like Bruno from the edge of the box, I can just see him passing one into the corner or arriving late. The focus on Rashford, Bruno's the one that turns up. And also, I'm thinking tactically, everyone's going to be captaining either Haaland or Rashford, aren't they?
Yeah.
So if you do the same as them, you can't beat them. So I'm thinking differently.
It makes such fine margins as well with some of these games because it's 7-aside.
Yeah.
Having that right captain can be the difference between not winning money and winning money. So it's always worth sort of thinking about that.
What are you going for?
I'm not too dissimilar. I've captained Marcus Rashford because unlike you, I believe in him. I think he will score, and I don't hate him like you do. So I've made him my captain. I'm sorry. He doesn't really hate Marcus Rashford. He loves him.
Better.
I've gone with Bruno's vice-captain because I can see that combo working. We've both put Erling Haaland in there because if, and it's a big if, City are to get a goal, you'd be massively surprised if it's not that absolute cyborg.
The other one I was deciding between is Foden because is good against United.
Yes.
He's a good player anyway, but
Yes.
the reason I went with Haaland is because I think Foden's only started one of the last 7 league games or something. For
Yeah,
City.
there's something weird going on there as well. Just to mention, worth mentioning with Betmate, it's powered by Opta and you get points for things like interceptions and tackles.
Yes.
That's why someone like Casemiro could be key. So make sure you're checking out. There's a link in the description. Like Joe said, you take part in a paid pot. You're using the code Paddock20, you can get a £20 free bet.
Yes.
With all this being said, with everything we've heard from Boothie, we've looked at the stats, we've spoken about Marcus Rashford, Casemiro, little nod to Erling Haaland. What is the score going to be? Give us your score prediction. Don't lie to me.
I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
I almost get a little bit dizzy when I think about this game.
Like
That's
Vic
how
Reeves
nervous I am.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that they've never done a show without having at least 2 pints before?
Really?
Yeah.
We'll talk about this later, but yeah, I love Reeves and Mortimer.
Yeah, me too. I hate to be the sort of Darren Dampner, if there can be such a character.
Yeah.
I would bite your hand off for a draw right now.
You absolutely.
I would take a draw, not because I think that, because we have been embarrassed by Manchester City every time we've played them for nearly 2 years now. The one at the Etihad last season was a joke. The 2-0 at Old Trafford is one of the most one-sided 2-0s I've ever seen in my entire life. We couldn't touch the ball. It was, to me, 90% as demoralising as the 5-0, the Liverpool 5-0, because it was like pathetic. And then obviously 6-3
it felt like
could have been 10-0. Hey.
Little lad, well done.
Yeah.
It felt like they were patronising us.
Yeah.
Like they were just going,
Stop
training
scoring now
ground.
because he's getting upset.
It was horrible. That.
Yeah, it was. So
You know what I mean?
for me, if we look like a competent team that is on a similar level to Man City, I would love that. That's all I want to see, because this is Ten Hag's first season. We can look at the league table and all that and get excited, but I just want to be a team that can compete with the best teams. So give me a competent 1-1 and I'll take that all day, and that's what I think it will be. What about you?
I hear you, and that is logical, everything you just said. But I can't bother being logical. No. I'm fully gone, mate, with Ten Hag, and I'm letting my heart probably rule my head. But I think we'll do him.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm the most nervous person you'll ever meet on a derby. I hate a derby.
Yeah.
Even when we're winning, I hate it.
Yeah.
I only enjoy it when we've won and it's done.
Yeah.
Same when we play the Scousers. It's a bit different with Leeds because we usually batter them after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am very nervous. But I don't know, maybe it's just because, I've drunk the Kool-Aid or whatever, but I just feel like Erik ten Hag, he knows what he's doing. We've got almost everyone available. Marcus is on fire. Casemiro's the best midfielder in the world.
Yep.
I fancy us for it. And it's my birthday. So I'm going to go. See, I'm scared I'll get clips up here.
It just doesn't matter, does it?
I'll go 4-1 United.
Fuck off. I didn't think you were going to say that. I think that one day we're going to do that to a big team, you know.
I do, man. I just feel like, I don't know. Listen, I'll take the L if I get clips up. That'll be my least of my worries. I think we'll get out him early doors. It's an early kickoff. I think the crowd will be up for it. Marcus is on fire. We'll get at him. They won't know what to do. They've just been beat off Southampton. Not even in the Carabao Cup anymore. The absolute pathetic losers. So yeah, I think we'll be all right.
I love that.
Honestly, I do.
I love that.
Do. Do you know what I
4-1.
mean? Mate, we might have to delete this video after the event.
Get your score predictions in the comments. How is this one going to go? This is massive. It's a bumper preview for a bumper.
Also, just on that, on your score predictions, get your phone out, film yourself giving a score prediction and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. We want your score predictions. So send them just a 30-second vid. Just give your score predictions. You can tell us who you think's going to score. You can tell us how you think the game's going to go. But around 30 seconds, send it in to us and we'll put you on the watch-along. Pre-match watch-along. You'll be featuring on that because we want to hear from you guys because it is your channel. Your channel. Yep. Joe, where can people find you?
Sloppy Joe's podcast on YouTube and everywhere else. Joe Smith93 on social media as well.
Good stuff. You know where to find me. Also, big thank you to Boovie as well for coming on the channel. For he's a City fan, but we appreciate that. Go and check out Betmate. There's a link in the description. Don't forget to use the code Paddock20. I've been Jay. That's been Joe. This has been the Derby Day preview, the big one. Thanks for watching.